Kita ada lagi dalam about 10 orang tak sampai lagi, 11 orang tak sampai lagi. Alright, tapi saya tak ada plan nak lama-lama lah. Untuk chapter 1 ni basically is a brief chapter. Baiklah, kita mulakan sesi kuliah kita. Saya sambil-sambil tu boleh check attendance dekat YouFuture. Saya sudah set. So now is 2:31. So you can actually click your attendance. Okay. So you can do it now. I give you another 5 minutes sementara tunggu yang lain masuk. Saya pun suka ingatkan yang besok adalah cuti cuti umum. Cuti umum, public holiday, cuti sempena Maulidur Rasul. Tak boleh login YouFuture, kenapa? Password ke apa? Oh, dari minggu lepas. Kamu seorang saja ke Farhana? Yang lain boleh masuk tak? Takut ada ada yang boleh Takut ada password issue ke? Sepatutnya dah boleh masuk lah YouFuture ni. Cuba Farhana check nanti Alright. Kita mula lagi nanti dalam 2:36. Besok cuti public holiday sempena Maulidur Rasul. Saya pun lupa sebenarnya. Dah pukul 10.30 tu baru teringat. Besok ada Maulidur Rasul cuti. So tak adalah tutorial untuk kita minggu ni. So kita mula tutorial untuk kelas ICT 652 dengan ICT 610 ni pada minggu depan. So that's why saya letak distribution untuk assessment tu week 3 Tapi memang week 3 pun sebab selalunya macam ni lah Okay, sambil-sambil tu saya ada buat sedikit perubahan tentang jadual waktu. Tapi ia tak melibatkan kumpulan pelajar yang register kod ICT 652. Dia hanya melibatkan pelajar yang register kod ITS 610. Iaitu Ermi dengan Adilah. Ermi dengan Adilah beginning next week kamu kena join tutorial group ICT 652 untuk kumpulan CS 264 6B2. Untuk kumpulan CS 264 untuk ITS 610 CS 244 Ermi dengan Adilah kena join group 6B2 CS 264 iaitu pada pukul 4.30 petang. Asalnya saya nak alih pukul 2.30 tapi ada yang ambil kod ISP, maka ISP 610 maka dia bertindih, so saya tak alihkan lah. Nanti kita carilah waktu yang lebih sesuai bila jadual semua dah steady So 4.30 petang tu kita boleh alihkan lagi ke waktu yang lebih awal lah Kalau nak 4.30 petang pun okey ke? Saya rasa saya yang tak okey. So kita akan cari waktu yang lebih sesuai lah Tapi saya akan ikut waktu kamu lah. Kalau ada kursus bertindan tu tak payahlah kita ambil waktu tu Nanti tak naklah ada pelajar lain yang bertindih. Baiklah. Okey. Saya harap kamu semua dah itu sedikit makluman lah tentang perubahan jadual. Ermi ada tak dalam ni ataupun Adilah ada tu saya nampak Nur Adilah kan. So tak payah pakai alright, okey. Kalau tak pun tak apa. So maklum Baiklah, kita mulakan kita panggil lecture 1 lah. Lecture 1 ni very brief lah. Saya pun rasa tak lebih sejam lah. Saya paling lama pun I'll take about 60 minutes or less hopefully because it's just a brief it's just an introduction and then you know internet more than I do I guess. You are more practitioner than me. I'm still generasi, saya masih lagi generasi baby boomers, isn't it? Generasi saya adalah generasi yang mula-mula internet sampai di Malaysia. 1995. 1995 is the first year that was introduced internet email in our country. And my first email account was in 1998, early 1998. My first email using a mainframe platform. Percaya tak percaya? So meaning, kalau mainframe platform tu, it is not user friendly. I have to remember all the commands. Nak send kena tak control S. Sometimes kita confuse S tu for save ke, for send ke, you know. So the interface is not user friendly, the instruction is not user friendly, but yet that an experience for me. Okay, and then at that time, 1995, internet started coming to Malaysia, and then 1999, e-commerce was first introduced. E-commerce, you know, e-commerce is actually it's been around for about almost 3 decades lah. 1999, 2009, 2019, almost it's already 2 decades. Dah 20 tahun lebih. It's been around. Cuma sekarang ni for the past about 5 years or 6 years, you know, kita dah start e-commerce very on a massive scale. Especially kita dah ada Lazada, Shopee platform kan. Amazon, started off Amazon, eBay. So it become massive kind of economical scale itu very massive dari segi profit and dari segi penggunaan usage. So basically alright. So basically that is some history lah sikit je pun. Alright, so historical internet, so you know more. It's just that actually internet has been around for quite some time. At that time kita tak panggil internet, is a secure network. Secure networkings among military punya usage yang dibangunkan bersama dengan universiti lah. Is a top project. Okay, and then at that time all the hardware are bulky, besar. Hardware tu besar and then the capacity is very small. But now over the years the hardware is becoming small and the capacity is becoming bigger. Okay, and then in fact right now kita pun mungkin tak jangka penggunaan internet tu menjadi terlalu luas sekarang ni. Sampai ada what we call it dark web. Dark web. I guess I've never been into dark web, so don't ask me. I don't really know what's in the dark web. Sometimes orang yang main game ni lagi bagi tahu lah. And then all this dark business also been done in the dark web. Alright. So cell phone tak usah cerita lah. I think you know better than me. Okay. Cuma lately ni kita dah tak boleh nak pakai 2G handphone. Saya nak tanya, Malaysia ni dah sampai ke 5G? Penggunaan 5G meluas ke?
Baru dibina dekat apa nama? Sikit-sikit tempat ada satu tempat.
Maksudnya 5G kat Malaysia ni belum meluas lagi lah kan? Kita masih lagi di 4G, betul tak?
Baru nak 4G meluas.
Baru nak 4G meluas? Itulah saya rasa 5G tak sampai lagi kat Malaysia ni. Kan? So kita masih lagi 3G and 3G sebenarnya luas lah kan? 4G baru nak sampai tapi tak meluas lagi lah tu kot. Okay. So apatah lagi 5G. Okay. So you know handphone more than I do. Okay. So I think kita pun dah biasa guna handphone, smartphone especially. Handphone ni dia ada yang jenis yang 2G Zaman saya belajar dulu, my first handphone was after habis belajar. Baru saya mampu pakai handphone masa itulah kan. Tapi sejak bila ada handphone ni, public phone dah langsung tak ada function lagi dah. Dulu banyaklah rata-rata kita jumpa public phone. Now is just tinggal jadi bahan sejarah sajalah. So we have a multi usage dalam phone. Okay. And then issues with issues with phones, bila mana kita guna GPS kan, then kita boleh guna macam-macam lah dengan penggunaan phone ni. It's just that how well we control the usage of handphone dengan kita punya lifestyle tu, kena sentiasa kena sentiasa dipantau lah, especially mana yang ada children lah. Sebab macam-macam trik macam-macam trik, macam-macam the accessibility towards the good stuff and the bad stuff, it's same, equal, sama. Okay, peluang untuk mencapai bahan-bahan berikut, so itu yang kita kena sentiasa jaga. Bukan saja kita accessibility, also privacy. Kalau macam contohnya Instagram, berapa ramai yang dah private kan, berapa ramai yang masih public. Okay, so why? Because people can actually capture and reuse you punya material without consent. Kill switches. Apa tu kill switches? So selalunya kalau dalam machine, kill switch ni kalau ada malfunction ke machine kan, kita ada satu switch yang stop the operation immediately. So basically that is kill switches. Kalau dalam penggunaan teknologi, kita ada remote yang boleh tutup engine kereta from a distance. Kita boleh set dalam handphone tutup house electricity using handphone remotely. Okay, so that is kill switches. Kita banyak menggunakan apply kill switches yang initially dalam manufacturing ke dalam teknologi. Okay, so kalau macam alright, so you boleh bacalah okay. Social media, social networking, you know better than I do. Alright. I think by looking at the logos pun you can understand how it works bagaimana ianya digunakan. Saya rasa saya teruskanlah and then it has business connection, advertisement. Sekarang ni advertisement you don't have, the billboard is still around kan, billboard. Cuma billboard ni kita kena bayar sewa dengan jumlah yang mahal. So kalau SMEs dia tak ada peluang nak invest marketing dia dengan menggunakan billboard, dia boleh menggunakan social media as a platform dan dia banyak digunakan Dan dia ada platform juga untuk start business online menggunakan Shopee, Lazada kan. So mungkin ada antara kamu yang juga entrepreneurs so bolehlah kongsi activity. Alright, so we can use all medias to spread awareness, in sense of making donations or reminding people of good practice and so on so forth. And then banyak juga yang kita gunakan platform ni sebagai crowdfunding. So apa tu crowdfunding? Bagi saya contoh satu, crowdfunding. Derma kilat lah kiranya Derma kilat. Lebih kurang lah bahasa yang kita pakai selalunya derma kilat. Cuma sebelum ni kita pakai derma kilat tu kita letak dalam botol ke balang ke kan, dan balang tu akan bergerak. So crowdfunding is how you attract people, you attract attention online and make them donate. Contohnya nak bina masjid, nak bantu sekolah. Cuma isu dia on crowdfunding ni yang kita risau sampai ke tidak hasil dia kepada targeted yang memerlukan lah. And then of course kita ada all types of benda ni ada juga masa real world benda ni ada juga in real world. Cuma the way we do it right now has been changed lah. Stalker dekat real life ada stalker, bully kat real life ada bullies, right? It's just that now the medium also different medium also have different kind of stalkers, you know, lagi meluas, lagi senang orang nak jadi stalkers nowadays dengan adanya Facebook, but then penggunaan social media ni, you can't blame the platform actually 100%. It's just that how well or your intuition, your intentional niat nak menggunakan tu. Itu kita kena mulakan dengan niat itu, ya, intention tu, penggunaan contohnya Facebook. What you going to use Facebook for? Why you want to use it? How you going to use it? To whom you want to attract? Instagram pun sama, Twitter pun sama. I think Twitter is, for me, it's a bit wild. People can talk anything on Twitters, right? Because penggunaan Twitter kat Malaysia ni it's not that widespread compared to Facebook and so on and so forth. So all of these activities, bad activities also ada juga dalam social media, and how kita menggunakan intention. And Malaysian cyber troopers, we call it, tentera bawang, is quite famous, kan sebab MCO ni kita tak ada aktiviti lain, then everybody join forces together and do the cyberbullies. I'm quite impressed lah, few moments dalam masa during MCO ni Malaysia ada, you know, cyber war with other peoples. You all ingat tak apa dia?
Oh, yang
Ada kan?
Israel tu
Yes, itu satu. And then kita attack siapa? Yang menang Paralympic masa our athlete Ziyad lambat, and disqualify the goal. Alright, so hopefully kita tak terlalu mengikut, you know, jangan larilah intention nak menggunakan cyber social media ni. So intention is very important. Alright, and then of course masa mula-mula internet datang, banyak personal blog, personal logs kita panggil. Web logs is blog, and people talks about a lot of things. Okay, so it's just like online journal or digital journal. Okay, it's just that when it's digital journals, other people can read your blog, and you can write almost anything on your blogs. Okay, tapi nowadays people dah kurang sikit bercakap tentang blogs. Kita in 5 years time, penggunaan blog dah makin kurang. Then we have telemedicines where we get information, where we use banyak applications. Contohnya sekarang pun banyak application yang nak yang bantu kita exercise to reduce weights. Saya pun guna, tapi selalunya langkah tembok jugalah, kan? Sebab kadang-kadang tuntutan kerja tu menyebabkan kita I have to change my schedule and so on and so forth. Ada apps untuk control our sugar levels. You all ni muda-muda lagi lah, so it might not in your radar, kan? So yeah, telemedicine, e-commerce, you know more than I do, of course. We have Amazon, eBay, Shopee, Lazada, Zalora. I've never used Zalora actually. Yeah, so basically nowadays the sales, digital sales, e-commerce sales has become maksudnya dia dah jadi satu lagi saluran sumber profit untuk mana-mana e-commerce. Bukan saja brick and mortar, malls or physical store, they also come together with online store. So it's another opportunity, another channel, another convenience. Kita panggil convenience. Kadang saya tak boleh nak pergi ke kedai itu untuk membeli, but then I can buy it online. Probably I get better quality, better price, and so on and so forth. So the opportunity in shopping and opportunity in selling has become greater than before. In future maybe more. Cuma mungkinlah Shopee ni, siapa yang miliki Shopee siapa yang miliki Lazada? I hope we have our own store, Muslim store or you know, yang menjual barang-barang yang baik sajalah, yang halal. Okay. Alright. So cuma that issue of, I think the payment mechanism for me quite secure lah. I don't know the behind actually. Okay, but the scam is always there. Okay, people will take opportunity to use any loopholes to actually take advantage over people, take advantage over people's lack of knowledge, lack of concern, and so on and so forth. Okay, so first, as consumer, we must know how to equip ourselves in terms of knowledge, on how to use this platform, e-commerce, so that it brings benefit to us more rather than disadvantage. So trust issue is very, very important. So that's why kalau ada new platform yang tak berapa pengguna yang ramai, so maybe trustworthy elements or trustworthy values tu kurang lah. Okay. Alright, kalau kita beli barang dekat e-commerce pun, the first thing that we do is actually tengok berapa ramai orang dah beli dekat store tu, apa reviewer dia, supaya our experience membeli barang melalui store tersebut akan dijamin lah somehow selamat. So that's why bagi rating, tulis review, bagi evidence dalam e-commerce ataupun contohnya macam Shopee tu, they give us some sort of benefit balik, contohnya dengan bagi kita coins, coins, so we can use it. Alright. Ini unexpected changes lah and development. Maksudnya traditionally kita dulu buat macam ni. Dulu menggunakan physically we have to drive to the mall, but now we don't have to. We have another channel of doing, another way of doing it. Okay. So in fact classroom for right now, kan, ODL, who can expect, right? Previously from face to face punya classroom, sebab KMCO totally shut, you all semua kena balik, ataupun siapa yang nak balik tunggu office, kita dah tak boleh nak jumpa dah buat kelas face to face. Why? Because of COVID-19. Now class can be handled online like this. Anak saya yang form 2 pun macam ni jugalah. Anak saya yang diploma tu pun macam ni jugalah. Anak saya yang form 4 pun macam ni jugalah. Kan? So culture shock tak? Mula-mula tu memang culture shock jugalah kan. Okay, mungkin tak ada device, mungkin tak ada infrastructure, mungkin tak ada orang lain mungkin different capacity, different infrastructure. Okay, you never know. Okay, but now it's becoming more and more common, more and more common. Meaning, if you can switch mode from face to face to face to face, we might not have any difficulty anymore. Kita dah tak perlu sapayah dah. We can adapt well. And then collaboration, community, online community pun banyak. Where you can get knowledge, you can get issues, you share issues. So kembali balik kepada the intention to join the communities, contohnya. That's under this collaboration lah kan. Or interest, orang yang hobi yang sama. So you can meet online rather than face to face. And then free stuff like magazine online, comics online, games online, and so on and so forth. Okay, free stuff. I think saya teruskan je lah. And then AI is also another current thing AI, yang mana kita menggunakan AI embedded dalam kita punya lifestyle. Contohnya virtual reality, augmented reality. Okay, where we use AI algorithm untuk embedded dalam application dan juga hardware for the purpose of teaching and learning. Contohnya kita ada that AR Google's tu what we call it, yang itu mungkin nak help students yang ada visual impaired. Dia bukan blind, dia ada, tapi dia tak 100% nampak lah, ada visual impaired dalam bantu dia dalam pembelajaran and so on so forth. Okay, pattern recognition and so on so forth, speech and face recognitions used for security as well rather than learning. So macam-macam lah. IoT pun banyak menggunakan AI dalam assist day to day punya activity. Robot, ni IoT pun banyak expect. Okay, smart sensor, motion and control ni banyak IoT punya aspek. Yang mana kita embedded multi field. Sebab IoT ni dia banyak juga related dengan electrical engineering, computing, electrical engineering, artificial intelligence, how they use these 3 bidang ni untuk create a product to assist human punya activity. Okay. Nanti kalau ada contoh-contoh yang bagus bolehlah kita share. Tools for disabled, yang penting apa intention dia dan apa outcome dia. How beneficial outcome yang kita produce tu kembali kepada society atau community. Alright. And then of course kita ada old problems in a new context because the accessibilities tu lagi meluas. Accessibility jadi lebih mudah, okay, and so on so forth. Alright, and then because of this kita kena ada new act, akta baru yang melindungi dan juga menghukum, to protect and to punish anything activity, illegal activity, crime activity or uncivilized activity in the internet. So mesti ada akta je, mesti diletak di bawah akta dia. So dalam tu pun kita ada juga sentuh sikit. Okay, dalam penggunaan harian finally kita dah introduce, kita dah didedahkan, kita have been introduced, we have been exposed and we've been applied. Kita dah introduce, expose, apply all types of technologies and internet. By the end of the day, we must put all that we have, the accessibilities, the exposure back to values. So bukan setakat kita mampu memiliki, mampu capai, but what are the values yang we get from that? Apa yang kita dapat balik, value especially. Sebab all in all dalam kehidupan ni, it's not just having the what we call it, having it, but the meaning behind it also kita kena dapat juga, kita kena achieve, kita kena reflect. Okay, if I own this, what is the best interest can I use it? What is the best interest that I can get from it? What are the beneficials that I can get from it? So that are values. So values can only be measured on how kita react on the issues. So that's why kita kena, selain pada belajar pasal menggunakannya, kita juga kena belajar bagaimana untuk mempraktikkannya dalam prinsipnya. Kau faham ke apa yang saya cakap ni? Itulah, So that's why we need to learn tentang ethics. So kalau tak ada ethics, maka kita just jadi pengguna yang tak ada prinsip lah. There's no principle behind of using it. There's no principles. So you are not man of values lah. Kita bukan orang yang mendukung nilai, mendukung prinsipal. Okay. So letaknya letaknya kita punya value tu is when we also cater benda-benda ni, the soft part of it. Okay. So that's why we need to learn ethics. Tapi ethics only comes after we check our moral. Moral must come first. Moral ni kita dah didedahkan dalam peringkat pendidikan rendah, menengah kan. Ethics ni bila kita start masuk di alam pekerjaan in workplace environment, when we no longer what I mean is bila kita 100% be responsible in what we do. Meaning kita dah mampu untuk memikir, kita dah mampu untuk memilih dan kita mampu untuk bertindak. Then you come of age that you are fully responsible in what you do. That's when you become adults. Adults is basic age. Kat Malaysia ni adults basic age berapa? 18 ke 21? 21 kalau belajar dia 21 everything start at 21. Tapi that 21 is not actually the actual numbers. Some people they mature early. Some people they are dah berumur, tak mature lagi kan. So when you are fully able to think, able to choose and able to take action, then you are apply to this term ethics, especially dalam working environment. Okay, working environment, organizational environment, then you must apply ethics. Okay, what is ethics first and foremost? Etika, dalam bahasa Melayunya etika. Tapi asal etika pun kita ambil daripada kata dasar ethics ni. Okay, so ethics is a study of what we means by do the right thing, buat benda yang betul. Okay. Kalaupun tanpa orang melihatnya, itu integrity. Ethics, you do the right thing. But when you do the right thing, even without people watching, then become integrity. So you have applied a good ethics lah. So that's why orang yang berintegrity, dia akan jadi orang yang berethics. So ethics, integrity, they must come together. Okay. So orang yang berintegrity ni banyak menyelesaikan masalah-masalah seperti salah laku, ambil rasuah. So itu banyak menyelesaikan perkara. Tapi manusia ni biasalah, bila kita ada nafsu, kita mudah tertarik. So bila mudah tertarik tu fikiran kita jadi dia tak nak proses lama-lama. Okay, dia tak nak fikir, dia terus nak decide. So that's why first thing we must do, think first, make choices. If you can reflect the implication lagi better, and then baru you take action. Tapi kalau you tak mampu nak reflect because you don't have experience, tak apa, learn from it and move on. Okay, so that's you've become men of values lah Okay, so cara generalnya kita akan assume lah, even though assume is not good term, people are rational. Saya akan assume semua yang ada dalam kelas saya ni mampu berfikir, especially untuk diri sendiri, kan? So you are rational, you're able to think, you're able to make choices, you can do strategize, and then you can develop, and then you can produce an outcome. So that is your rules. Okay. Alright, rules to follow in our interactions and our actions that affects others. Is also ethics. Rules to follow our interactions and our actions that affects others. Ini banyak kita gunakan dalam konteks organisation. Dalam organisation kita set rules, kita set policy, kita set guidelines. So sebab apa? Sebab kita ada kita nak wujud satu healthy interactions among workers. Kalau pekerja tu datang lambat, tapi by the end of the year dia jadi terima anugerah cemerlang. You rasa bagus ke tak bagus? Kan? So orang lain akan give some sort of bad image. Kenapa dia bos ni pilih dia ni ada masalah dah, selalu datang lambat, kenapa ke? Ada favoritism ke? So I don't think that kind of situation is good for an organization or working environment. Right? So that's why we need to set some sort of rules so that when everybody follow the rules, you all be safe, you all be appreciated. Safe lah paling penting. Bayangkanlah kita tak ada undang-undang jalan raya. Kita kan atas jalan raya ni dia ada garisan kan? Garisan-garisan yang atas jalan-jalan raya tu semua ada makna dia. That's why you kena ambil license untuk memandu. You tak boleh setakat memandu saja. You kena ambil license, you kena diuji dan diluluskan baru you boleh memandu. Sebab kalau you tak follow the rules, jalan raya akan jadi satu tempat yang tidak selamat. Yeah. Memang sekarang pun Malaysia punya accident rates is among the highest. Fatality in accidents very high. So that's why we must follow the rules. Alright, two different perspectives that ethics are. Ada dua perspektif kat sini. Is fundamental like law of science. Rules we make up like law of football. Dia ada dua types lah. Satu very fundamental, satu very contextual. Saya panggil dia contextual. Ya, sebab apa? Dia melibatkan ikut konteks. Yang kita nak tengok konteks sekarang ni adalah dari sudut organisasi. Ya. Alright, so kita ada macam-macam lah. Yang ini term ni kamu kena ingat yang term ni iaitu negative rights or what we call it as liberties. Kita kalau you all baca American history ataupun tengoklah American movie ke, yang suka cakap pasal liberties. Okay. So what is liberties? So liberties is the right to act without interference. The right to act without interference. Some people can use this fully to their advantage lah. Yeah. Dan orang liberal ni dia memang suka ambil ni. This is my right. This is my right. Remember? Masa MCO Amerika dulu, bukanlah baru juga lah ni. Karen. Siapa dengar pasal Karen? Who's Karen? Karen is basically adalah viral dulu kan. Memang nama dia pun Karen. Tapi dia jadi viral bila dia mengamuk tak nak ikut rules. Okay? Dengan bercakap pasal liberty dia. Right. Her rights. Her rights to not follow the rules. Itu contohlah ya, tapi benda ni so the next viral thing sebab mana-mana yang it is not good juga sebab dia referring to kalau feminist dia tak sukalah ya, feminist dia tak suka. Dia kata apa? Oh, dia jangan samakan semua perempuan yang mengamuk tu sebagai Karen. Itu situation di US lah ya. So sebab apa dia tak nak pakai mask contohnya. Tak nak pakai mask, tak boleh masuk mall. So, mall implies rules. Sebab apa? Malls pun punya hak untuk give service. Those who comply with their rules, then you get our service. Dan macam mana tu? Liberty ke tidak? Okay. So, nanti tak apalah you fikirlah. So, this is right to act without interference. So liberties, negative right, we call it negative rights or liberties. The terms is interchangeable. So bawah ni kita ada freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of association. Dekat Malaysia, we also have our liberties and these liberties telah pun berada dalam akta. Telah berada dalam akta. So kita semua ada dia punya, dah cover liberties kita dalam undang-undang negara. What is positive right? Positive right is claim rights. Contohnya, you beli produk, setiap produk sepatutnya diberi warranty. So sekiranya berlaku dalam tempoh warranty, you boleh claim. So claim rights also what we call it as obligation to some people to provide certain things for others. Okay. Contohnya each housing Malaysia developers dia mesti ada kuota bumi putera because it's in the regulation. Yeah, it's in the regulation. They must provide it. Yeah. Why? Hanya Malaysia saja yang provide it, this kind of protecting the people, the original people. Okay. Alright. Okay, tadi kita belajar tentang positive right, negative rights. Negative rights is liberties dan juga positive right is claim rights. Another variety, another third one is what we call golden rules. The golden rules ni, what are the divine rules that we follow? Golden rules ni is terbaik lah, good practice. Golden rules ni ialah you must treat others as you would want them to treat you. Maksudnya kita kena macam orang tua cakap, berbuat baik dengan orang, insyaAllah orang buat baik kat kita balik kan. So basically that is our golden rules. Okay. And then do the works honestly, responsibly, ethically, creatively, and well is virtuous. Sikap-sikap terpuji ni yang menjadi golden rules, ya. And then kita juga ada social contracts and a theory of political justice that falls under golden rules. Malaysia pun ada social contracts, kalau you all baca sejarah lah, ya. Alright. And what else? So and all in all, benda ni agak kompleks lah yang menjadi. Tapi you kena tengok jugalah the contextual on where it used. Okay. Sometimes people in Japan probably have different view from us. Okay. People in the West probably have different view from us. Okay. So it depends. Okay. Alright. So okay. Then of course some important distinction. The right, the wrong, and what is acceptable. Okay. So we not only have the black and white, but also have the gray area. Okay. And we also must be able to distinguish between what is wrong and what is harmful. Wrong is wrong, probably wrong but not harmful. Okay. But when it's harmful, definitely it's wrong and dangerous, then harmful. Okay. Ataupun harm dekat sini contohnya, harm not necessarily mean unethical. Tapi dekat Malaysia, if you, dia ada certain caps lah. Caps ni dia punya, what we call it, caps ni kita panggil, you faham kan caps kan? Dia punya point, dia punya sukuk. Dia punya what we call it, sukuk lah kot. Contohnya taxes. Taxes already define how many salaries do you have, then you are eligible to pay taxes. Okay. Unless you ignore the taxes. When they do the audit, hati-hatilah. So that's why once you dah start bekerja nanti, belajar tentang financial management, belajar tentang taxes. Apa yang menjadi kebolehan untuk di rebate. Especially kita as Muslim ada zakat, make sure you use that benefits. Okay. Zakat definitely lah kena bayar. Gaji kena disucikan. Apa yang kita ada tu kena dizakatkan. So that is benda yang antara awal yang kamu kena belajar bila dah start kerja nanti. LHDN tu memang kena buka lah file dia. Kalau pun ada isu dengan LHDN sekarang ni. So okay. Fine. And then separating goals from constraint. Okay. So what does it mean by separating goals? Separating goals. You can have goals. Everybody eligible to create their own goals. But then again, jangan meletakkan constraint ataupun jangan menambah constraint pada goal tersebut. So contohnya, you nak make profit dalam business tapi you jangan cantas rezeki orang lain contohnya lah. You jangan buat dirty business dengan orang lain. You jangan tipu orang lain. So sebab you nak cepat, nak naik cepat. So begitulah. Personal preference and ethics. You can't force people to think the same way as you. People come from different background, different educational background, different family cultures, you know. So they probably have different, or probably they have different experience. experiences teaches us values kan. So some people may have good experience, some people may not have good experience. So tak semua orang punya mindset yang sama You can't think tak semua orang, you tak boleh nak anggap semua orang tu fikir benda yang sama, nampak benda yang sama. So that's why you kena open mind. Kalau you close mind, you timid, you susah nak terima pandangan orang lain. So you have to open mind, open heart, tak boleh jadi timid. Then you can see, oh maybe perspektif dia begini, dia nampaknya begini, saya nampak begitu, kan? So hormatilah pandangan dia first and foremost. And then mungkin you boleh belajar juga daripada dia, daripada pandangan dia, sebelum ni pandangan you lain, pandangan dia pun macam tu okey juga, kan? So that's how we learn that's how we grow lah, on a daily basis. And then law and ethics. What is lawful might not be ethical and vice versa. Yang ni boleh. Banyak contoh lah. Boleh dibincangkan lah Ada. One, what is lawful might not be ethical. Suka nak bincangkan Itulah. Right? So what is computer ethics? So computer ethics known as standard of professional practice, codes of conduct. Code of conduct, ethics, dia suka that key, codes of conducts. Aspects of computer law, public policy, corporate ethics and so on and so forth. So the efforts of professional philosophers yang banyak kita apply teori, ni teori kita tak apply semua lah kita ambil konteks, dalam konteks penggunaan komputer sajalah. Utilitarianism, Kantianism, or virtue ethics, banyak kita ambil daripada filosofi ni, kita apply lah, kita tak ambil fundamentally, kita apply the philosophy dan applykan dalam computer technology. Okay. So, computer ethics is the broadest sense can be understood that branch of applied ethics which studies and analyze such social and ethical impacts of information technology. Yang ni nanti kau baca lah dalam buku ada Saya tak nak cakap banyak lah benda ni. So you can read this, and then quite boring jugalah kalau saya nak cakap satu-satu kan. So you can read about this historical. Cuma dekat sini kita ada what we call it as sebagai ni ACM. Siapa tahu ACM stand for? The first rules of ethics, rules of ethics in computing field, dipanggil computing fields, produced in the communications of ACM in 1968. So it's been around. It's been around for quite some time. So ACM stand for Association for Computing Machinery. This is our professional organization lah. So it's been around lah. So nanti you baca yang ni, saya skip. In the 80s, bila penggunaan teknologi tu dah meluas ke organisasi, then they start with lebih broad dalam organisation. Yang ini pun nanti kau baca. Okay, defining the fields of computer ethics. Okay, the second stage is that is the history. Okay, this is technological permeation. So what does it mean? It means that technology gets integrated into everyday human activities, into social institution. Technology changes the meaning of fundamental concepts such as money, education, work, and fair elections. What we are doing right now is technological permeations. When we have this mass lecture online, all right, synchronous. And then computer ethics identifies and analyzes the impact of information technology upon human values. And we are learning it now. We're learning how to reflect or how to use ethics it defines our actions using the technology. Yeah. Termasuklah contohnya health, wealth, opportunity, freedom, democracy, knowledge, privacy and so on and so forth. Alright. So according to Moore, the computer revolution is occurring in 2 stages. The first stages is what we call his technological introduction. Technological introduction, that's where you find dalam historical tadi tu ya. Sebab dia kata already occurred in America during the first 40 years after the Second World War. Second World War was what? 1945, 46? Okay. So 1980s is technology introductions. So basically that's it. End of the slide. Cepatnya. Alright, tak apa. So basically that is our chapter 1 lah. Chapter 1 kita tengok dari segi the terms or the perspective tadi, negative rights, positive rights. Negative right kita panggil liberties, positive right pakai claim rights and golden rules. And then kita also tengok tadi ethics ni tadi, yeah. And then some important distinction, you must be able to know what is right, what is wrong, what is acceptable, yeah. And then you must be able to distinguish between what is wrong and what is harmful. And then you should be able to separating the goals and also identifying the conflicts, yeah, or constraint that would interfere your goals by imposing some sort of bad interest, yeah? Bad interest, bad practice dalam achieving the goal. Kita jangan main kotor lah kiranya. Kan nak capai goal tu tapi jangan main kotor. Jangan main tipu. Kan? Dulu kalau nak main bola, panggil bomba hujan. Kan? Supaya pihak lawan kalah, kita menang. Contohnya lah. Yeah? That is unrelated contoh. And then kita also how to know the personal preference, the non-ethical preference. Sometimes our personal preference tu baik untuk kita je tapi tak baik untuk sejagat. So kalau boleh kita jangan dahulukan yang itu. Dahulukan baik untuk sejagat. Yeah? Contohnya lah. Dan kita ada law and ethics. So ini antara yang penting. And then utilitarianism ni pun dengan Kantianism ni pun agak penting tapi tak ada banyak contoh lah. Dalam buku tu adalah nanti. Yeah? And then you kena faham apa computer ethics punya term. Historical ni kamu baca lah. So this is the technological introduction phase. Dan sekarang the second stage yang banyak technological permeation. Maksudnya teknologi dah diserap bersama kehidupan kita. So itulah two stages. Introduction and dah embedded dengan daily life technology. So that's what we do now. So aslinya memang takat ni je lah kot slide dia ya. Tak ada summary pun slide ni. So basically that is chapter 1. So tak sampai sejam pun. Okay. Ada soalan tak? Tak pun tak apa. Kau cakap lagi bagus.
Belum ada.
Belum ada. Okay, yang lain ni senyap je. Hopefully ada ya. Hopefully you are awake. I hope you all awake right now.
Yes, we are awake.
Awake fully awake. Not dreaming.
Game bangun game.
Alright. Okay, attendance untuk saya dan Adila tak ada di future. Untuk Ermi dengan Adila, saya rasa kan saya tak masuk sebab saya tak ambil kod ITS 610. Ermi dengan Adila saya take note je kat sini dulu lah. Nanti saya next week saya kena tambah kumpulan supaya tak missing lagi lah. Tapi saya take note lah kamu hadir ya. Alright.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Alright. Okay, besok kita cuti. So kelas tutorial tak ada. Dan ITF 610 pun saya dah bagi tahu mulai minggu depan jadual akan berubah yang mana ITM 610 akan masuk kelas tutorial group 6B2. Saya dah alihkan. So tutorial untuk 6B1 pada pukul 8 pagi dan tutorial untuk 6B tu pada 4:30 petang. Kalau boleh saya nak alih lah, tapi nantilah kita bincang kalau you all dalam group. So Ermi dengan Adilah join group 6B2 ya untuk tutorial. So besok tak ada kelas. Minggu depan saya akan masuk chapter 2 dan juga kita akan mula discuss on, masa tutorial saya akan mula discuss on you punya assessment distribution. Alright. So ada soalan ke sebelum kita dismiss?
Tak ada lagi Madam.
Tak ada ya. Alamak, besok saya ada lecture. Oh besok Selasa. Okay. Tak ada. Alright. Firdaus kata tak ada. Tadi siapa kata tak ada?
Najib.
Hakim. Okay, Hakim tak nampak muka. Nampak badan tu, muka dia jauh je. So saya harap mana yang tak nampak muka tu, tunjukkanlah muka dalam Telegram. Sebab saya rasa Telegram kita banyak guna untuk classes kan. So sebaiknya tunjukkanlah muka. Ya, gambar yang kamu dalam student portal tu pun yang kamu bagi masa kamu register dulu, pakailah gambar tu pun tak ada. Tak apa. Contohnya macam Nur Fatihah ni saya tak nampak muka dia. Syaliza nanti tolong bagi muka ya. Alright. Kalau tak ada, saya rasa jangan lupa klik attendance di YouFuture untuk Ermi dengan Adila. Nanti saya kena tambah kumpulan kamu. Saya tak tambah lagi kumpulan kamu CS244 untuk kod ITS 610. Kalau tak ada soalan untuk setakat ni, soalan boleh prompt. Kita actually ada lagi sesi kuliah sampai pukul 4:20 kan. Kalau ada soalan, just pop your question in the Telegram group. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, kita boleh dismiss lah. So kita tangguh kuliah untuk minggu depan. Alright, terima kasih kelas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Syaliza pun tak ada, so ada 3 orang ya. Syaliza, Adilah dengan Ermi. I take note sekarang.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you,
Amal.
madam.
Thank you, Madam.
Alright.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome.
Kim, bangun Kim.
Fazli, bangun Fazli. Tidur
Saya tengok siapa yang tak keluar lagi tu, dia tidur lah tu. Alah, lupa nak tengok gambar. Alah, stop sharing. Mana how to stop sharing? Stop recording.